Hey everybody, this is Kodak here, just getting out a video and a quick update on how things are going, and a lot has been going on. I'm still working on the major video from before, but I'm kinda stuck coming up with the visuals for a video that is mostly conceptual theory, which is certainly fun since I'm a one-man operation. I recently got my starter decks in for Ultraman, so I'm working on a video about that. I'm working on a review about Lorcana's attempt at a Battle Academy box. I'm preparing for PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia, which happens at the start of December. I'm judging my game jam, and now I'm making another how to play video for a client. But with all of that stuff in limbo, I figured I should make something quick and about something that I think a lot of people might be struggling with on their development journey. So the best way to see if a game idea works is to actually test it out live. Bashing the bricks together, one could say. But the daunting thing is, how does one actually get enough cards together to do this? Enough rocks to bash? It's actually a pretty common problem, that creative dilemma where you feel kinda stuck at the first page, where you come up with 2 cards and are terrified of trying to make more. And as someone who has now had to fill out a list for 2 games in the past year now, including doing so in less than 2 weeks for a game jam, and doing some consulting work here and there, I think I have a decent perspective on how to make it work, and it takes some notes from the techniques used by writers and painters. Vincent van Gogh once famously said that it's better to smear paint on an empty canvas than be daunted by the blank space. Several novelists live by a similar creed, called writing like a lion. And me? I've said something similar in that it's better to make a mess than clean it up, rather than being paralyzed by the quest for perfection. But that's kind of easy to say, isn't it? What I just described is, frankly, a form of discipline that these creative sorts have worked to hone, one that might not be easy to understand for those who are new to these sorts of creative endeavors. So, how do we actually start getting to the point that card design becomes easy to get started? Well, the big conceptual video I was talking about before uses jazz theory to help figure out how to translate a narrative story into game mechanics. It's not as eccentric as it sounds, I promise. So it's thankfully pretty easy to start once you employ a surprisingly dumb approach. So you have an idea for a game, you've drawn up 1 or 2 cards, but don't know where to go from there? It's actually pretty simple. What sorts of moments do you imagine your game having? Are players able to set traps against their opponents? Is there supposed to be a grand reveal of the win condition, or some kind of stunning reversal? How about a more specific example? What if your resources were peasants? They make the resource you need to build kingdoms and stuff, but then there's bandits who can come and steal from the peasants, so there would have to be soldiers to protect the peasants from the bandits. So then the bandits would have to come up with tools to get past the soldiers to steal from the peasants, so then the soldiers would need better tools to stop the bandits, or the peasants would need to arm themselves, and do you know what this is? This is a bunch of card ideas, all cascading off of each other. Yeah, it can be that sort of caveman simple. If you have an idea of what sorts of things you want to happen in your game, make the cards that literally cause those things to happen, and you'll often find that one card idea can roll into another, and so on and so forth. The big hurdle is setting aside the fear of making something imperfect to simply get it done. The goal isn't to make something release-worthy right away. It's getting enough rocks to smack together to see if what you have works like you hope it does. Figuring out these sorts of design cascades are essential to populating card sets and keeping a game fresh, and yeah, it is a skill you need to develop. That's why game jams exist, and next time I think I'll build a staff lineup if I make one again. So, for an example, the game I entered into a recent game jam called It's Alive was made with the concept of competitive Frankensteining, where players try to stitch together the scariest monster they can. It was originally going to require matching colored thread, but I ditched that in favor of secondary attribute synergies. Of course, we get Frankenstein's monster with a bunch of bolt and lightning themed parts, a King Kong with a bunch of primate puns, robots with high-tech limbs, additional heads in place of arms, and of course, Mom, we have Exodia at home. Now, in order to get these parts, the players might go shopping, or send an intern to do it, or just go and dig them up themselves. The other cards represent the sort of petty sabotage you would probably find at a mad scientist dog show, like popping seams or putting a cute stuffed animal limb on a ferocious beast, or jabbing your creation in the butt to make it roar all scary-like. It got second place. Not bad for a first outing. Mad Scientist Dog Show turned out to be quite the well of inspiration. Somebody already asked me why I haven't made a combining mecha setup, and I wonder that myself. But yeah, that's the basic advice on how to fill out a card set, either for testing or for future archetypes. Don't seek perfection the first time. Populate, test, cull, and modify. Or, in simpler terms, make a mess, then clean it up. So yeah, that's my basic advice for how you get more cards into your game with a little imagination. It will become even more clear once the big video about the color pie comes out, but again, I'm a one-man operation here and that might take a bit, but until then, a big thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon, and until next time, this is Kodak signing off.